Christ is king, it's where we belong. Stay with the dream, don't lose your way. Right way's the fire that'll light the day. Keep it simple, let the moment arrive. 3-8 trap keeps the hope alive. Hold on tight till the signal's near. Right way's the trail, we're breaking through fear.
Good morning, fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for June 3rd, 2025. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful afternoon, evening yesterday. We had a major storm come through, so glad the power is on. It is still raining. We have some localized flooding in the area, so quite the storm. Let's take a look at what happened here overnight. If we take a look at Asian markets last night, Asian markets were a little bit mixed. We had Australia up by about 52.5 points. The Nikkei was down 23, almost 24 points. India was down 174. South Korea was up about $1.30. Hong Kong had a zooming day, up 354 points, and Shanghai was up by 14.5 points. If we take a look at European markets this morning, European markets are mixed as well. We've got the DAX up almost 13 points. FTSE at the moment is down $8.80, and the CAC is down $25 here this morning. Looking at the U.S. futures, a little bit of bearishness in those U.S. futures. Right now, we've got the Dow futures down 166 points. S&P 500 futures are down slightly by 22.75, and the NASDAQ futures down 65 points here at the moment. Other than that, we have kind of an opposite day going on here. If we take a look at cryptos here this morning, while they were pretty harshly down yesterday, right now Bitcoin is up $1,024 a coin. Ether this morning is up sharply. ETHA, you can see in here getting a big gap up this morning, up $81.67 a coin, up 3.22%, and we're green across the board in cryptos. If we take a look at bonds, well, bonds were moving higher yesterday, and again, a little bit of an opposite day. Right now, this morning, we have our 2-year bonds coming in at 3.92% down, the 10-year bonds down at 4.42%, and the 30-year bonds falling to 4.94%. Now, that's creating a little bit of a boost in the dollar that had a really hard sell-off yesterday in the dollar. Dollar right now up 22 cents on the dollar futures, so kind of keep an eye on that here this morning. Again, a little bit of an opposite day, and the same thing is true when we look at precious metals. Precious metals had a big upside day yesterday, right now down modestly, $14.50 an ounce after zooming up yesterday, and silver a little bit harsher pullback here this morning, right now down about 25 cents in silver futures here this morning at $34.44 an ounce. Gold's still coming in $33.82 an ounce, and yesterday it hit $34.00 an ounce, so quite a little pullback here this morning. If we take a look at oil here this morning, well, oil trying to push higher here today. Yesterday we saw oil up sharply, and oil is still showing some bullishness here this morning, up 15 cents a barrel at $62.75 a barrel. We've got Brent this morning just slightly higher at 64 $1.72 a barrel, and natural gas just barely holding on to some green here this morning, up about 0.3 cents. So keep an eye on those. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts, see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to shake off that bias. We want to look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be. Now, that being said, we've got a very bullish chart here. It just continues to be very bullish. We started down yesterday, and then slowly but surely the tech stocks started to rally back up, and we pushed these indexes back up yesterday. And you can see just a nice tight consolidation here on the diamonds chart. We can clearly see where support in that chart is, and we can clearly see where resistance in that chart is. So if the bulls can continue to find some inspiration here in the market, then we need to see if we can break through that area of resistance right there. And if we can, then I would suggest we're probably going to stretch on up to test this resistance here in the chart. Of course, if the bears have anything to say, it's pretty easy to see as well. We would drop back down here, retesting this area of support, and if that fails, we're going to give up some of that trend and possibly push back into this level of support in the diamonds. Now, keeping in mind, if we look at our moving averages, we're still trying to bang our head through that 200-day moving average. If the bears have anything to say, then a push down maybe toward that 34 EMA might be a possibility here in the chart. I still think there's a very reasonable possibility we could see that 50-day moving average still in the market. If we take a look at our SPY, SPY, also very bullish chart, as you can see, moving in that upside trend. Had a bullish engulfing candle yesterday, still not quite able to break out of these recent tops right there. And you can see we've got a little bit of price support right in there. If the bears were to keep pushing here this morning, if we were to drop on down, then retesting this low wouldn't be out of the question. If we bounce off of that, no problem. If we were to break below that, that's where we might run into a little bit of concern, maybe coming back into this next area of support. And unfortunately, below that, we have a very big gap that could be filled if those bears were to really get going. Now, if the bulls can take off to the upside, well, you can see wouldn't be all that hard to see them test this resistance here in the chart, and then we would maybe possibly break on through that next level to the upside. And if I put my lines back on the chart, you would see after we break through this area, probably up into this area of the chart would be the next test above. Let's take a look at our QQQ here in the market. QQQ also, oh, by the way, on the SPY, if we were to catch any of that pullback, coming back here to the 200-day moving average really would not be out of the question from this kind of extended condition that we're in right now on the SPY. Now, QQQ also remaining in a very bullish pattern, staying very, very strong yesterday as big tech continues to be the most attended to stocks out there in the market. So watch that carefully. We've got a good support in here. Our resistance is right up in here. If those bears have anything more to say today, then a push back down here to retest this support wouldn't be out of the question. Once again, if that were to break and break that trend, there is some support right in here. Unfortunately, below that, there is a giant gap that could be filled. And I do suspect some point in time we're going to fill that gap. So watch carefully here. That would be a big point move obviously in the Qs. Now, if the bulls can continue to find inspiration, well, we need to see if we can bounce up through this area of the chart, retesting this recent high. And if we can get up through there, then I would see that next opportunity above, probably right up in here to test that level in the chart up there around 530. So watch that carefully in the Qs. Once again here, a pullback in here back to retest that 34 EMA would fill that, or I mean that 200-day moving average would fill that gap in the chart. And I don't think we can really rule that out. It doesn't mean we can't make new record highs before that occurs, but I think there is a chance we will eventually fill that gap, and it will be a little painful when that occurs. Now, IWM started down and was looking pretty ugly yesterday, continues to be in this little downside move here, but a nice tight consolidating move as it does that. A little bit of price support right in here. If the bears were to continue today, maybe to push on down through yesterday's low, looks like a possibility. And then beyond that point, we've got some additional support in here that could potentially be tested if those bears get going. You will notice that we have already filled that gap in here. Could we get a retest of that here today? Maybe. If the bulls can continue to find inspiration here in the chart, then first thing we need to do is really break out of this downtrending area and see if we can start pushing back up through this consolidation resistance in the chart. If we can do that, then we might be right up here testing this next level above. Now, if I turn on all of my drawings in here, you can see there's that longer term downtrend that's been a problem for the Russell. And of course, this major resistance runs all the way back in here to 2021, 2022 highs. And as long as we continue to be so centric into the QQQ, it's going to be really difficult for IWM to garner enough attention to push through those levels. So watch that carefully. Here again, technically, a pullback to the 200-day would not be out of the question, and even a pullback to the 50-day moving average would not be out of the question. I'm sorry, this is the 500-day here, that red line. This is the 50-day moving average, would not be out of the question. Let's take a look at our VIX here this morning. Now, our VIX yesterday, we didn't have much going on in here. We had a little fear pop up in the market, and then as we saw those QQQ or big tech pushing to the upside, well, it faded right back here. So no particular worries in here. You can see we've got some recent lows that could be tested if those bulls can continue to push, and if they can keep that energy going, maybe we can test this low down in here, breaking back down in that chart. Now, if the bears have anything to say, well, to push back up, maybe to retest some of these highs up here, wouldn't be out of the question. I think we're going to need a pretty bearish push to see if we can punch through that area and come back up here and retest this area in the VIX. However, we just haven't seen market breadth to really provide that energy to bulls or bears. And let's take a look at that. Our T2122 here this morning, T2122, as you can see, we had a pretty strong day coming in. We were back down well below 50% here in T2122 yesterday morning, and then pushed all the way back here to where we finished up the day. About 59% of the stocks here holding in there strong. So if the bulls can find inspiration today, well, we've opened a nice upside opportunity for them. If we can find that inspiration to really push to the upside, then we have opened up a space, and that's a good thing that happens. We relieve some of that buy pressure, and then we have that upside move, and boy, we sure haven't caused any technical damage in this pullback of the market. If we see any bearish activity continue, well, just keep in mind we have a little bit more space for those bears to work if they were to get going here on the day. And I think that's a big if, because when we look at some of the other metrics in here, we have not seen a lot of energy. T2108, you can see obviously pushed back yesterday, but no harm in here. We're holding some support in the chart, right up here around 61% of the stocks holding above their 40-day moving average. Keeping in mind, if those bulls can continue to push, maybe we can stretch back up here, test some of these highs, and push up toward that 70% of the stocks above their 40-day. You will want to keep in mind, once we're up in this zone between 70 and 80, we're in a very, very frothy area of the market. So watch that carefully here for that potential of a pullback. But even if we do catch more pullback in here, we've got some good areas of price support in here for stocks to hold, so wouldn't be out of the question if that pullback does occur. Our T2107 pulling back here a little bit yesterday, but no harm at all in the chart. We've got some good price support right through this area if those bears continue to push, and maybe even down into this area. But if we look to the upside, if the bulls can push right on through, we've got some areas of resistance to be watching here, and maybe we could push right on up past that 40% area here in the market with a good solid push on those bulls. Our T2101 though is my major concern, is that we just don't have any breadth. Our breadth continues to be very, very weak. When the bears were pushing yesterday, no increase in breadth. When the bulls started pushing, no increase in breadth. Breadth was very weak overall. Let's keep an eye on that here today. We're just lacking that momentum in the market, and perhaps just having a little bit of a healthy consolidating rest here overall in the market. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, well, it is a pretty light day. We have a couple things in here. Motor vehicle sales this morning. We can take a look. I guess they haven't reported that just yet. I thought that report was already in, so that'll be coming up here this morning. We've got a factory orders number here this morning. Looking for those factory orders to come in at a negative 0.3. Not a good sign. We saw some pretty ugly numbers yesterday as well. So kind of keep that in mind. I think our economy is slowing, and our consumers might not be in as strong a position as some of the numbers have been showing us. We're going to get that job openings report. They're looking for those job openings to decline to 7.1 million, down from 7.192. Keep an eye on that. And then after that, just some bond auctions and some Fed talk. So watch those closely here today. As we look into Wednesday, plan into Wednesday, keep in mind we've got mortgage applications, ADP, we've got some Fed speak in here, a PMI final, an ISM index. We're going to get the petroleum status, some more bond auctions, and a beige book here on Wednesday to look forward to. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. And our earnings calendar, well, we've got a few more notables to be paying attention to. We'll take a look at those in just a moment. So if you want to grab this, pause the video, get a screenshot for that here this morning. Let's take this over here and do a really quick look at what we've got going on. Dollar General reporting here this morning, getting a nice pop here to the upside. This has been a very, very bullish chart. Looks like that's going to continue here this morning. We've got DCI reporting today, also a little bit of a pop to the upside in a very bullish pattern. FERG also gapping up here this morning. Nice bullish pop here on that. Looking good. We've got NIO. NIO not making much of a move yet. Perhaps hasn't reported. We've got Ollie's Bargain outlet here, well, not looking quite as good. A little bit of a pop and drop. May still be waiting for that earnings report. And then we've got Signet Jewelers, nice push here to the upside, nice bullish pop. So now remember, these are not exactly the kind of stocks that move the market a ton, so you'll want to keep that in mind. This afternoon after the bell, we've got a couple more of those notables that could move the market by HPE reporting, and Crowdsource will be reporting this afternoon, so keep an eye on those. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me this quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, clicking that thumbs up button, leaving a brief comment, that helps the channel to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. And hey, I want to remind everyone that time is coming to a close here for the 3/8 trap class. Once again, I will leave a link just below the title of the video if you would like to check out that 3/8 trap class. It's almost full, so kind of keep that in mind. When it's full, that's it. But take a look at that if you have an interest. Again, taught thousands of people of this strategy, and it produces about a 70% win-loss ratio or better in the market. Well, one of our members of Right Way Options, using the 3/8 trap, is producing consistently an average of over 80% wins. So kind of keep that in mind. If you have an interest and want some consistency in your trading, you might want to check out this 3/8 trap class. Let's take a look at what we have going here in some of these stocks setting up. Remember, they're not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence and be very, very careful in this market, as anything can change and big point moves could be possible quickly in this market, whether they be up or down. Let's take a look at a few in here. Roku, I placed a price alert here on Roku. Nice little upside trend, nice little resting pattern in here. I would watch carefully for that next opportunity on Roku. A little bit of push in here, that might just pop right up if we can get those bulls going. Worth paying attention to. I also placed an alert here on XYZ yesterday. A very, very bullish pattern in here coming up. Let's take a look at those moving averages. We have a what's called a rounded bottom breakout pattern here, where we're up above our 50. Notice that 50-day moving average is starting to turn back to the upside, and we have this very bullish flag pattern pushing through. So if we can continue to see that bullishness, I would look for a stretch up here in that chart, kind of a minimum up here toward the 500-day, maybe all the way up to the 200-day in XYZ. So watch that carefully here. And we also saw in the financials yesterday, let's take a look at XLF. XLF ended up with a nice bullish push yesterday as well. Now this has slipped its upside trend, but really we've had no failure here in this chart. So if we can get those bulls going in here, there might be the next higher low in the chart to run back up here and retest these highs. So keep an eye there on XLF, trying to come back around, looking pretty interesting overall. If we take a look at Cardinal Health, I placed an alert on yesterday, popped that alert, continuing to follow through here this morning. Keep an eye on Cardinal Health. That's looking really good. As you guys remember, I mentioned Corning yesterday. Corning is a nice little resting consolidation in this beautiful upside trend. That possibility that this, if the bulls can get going, could push right on through here and maybe stretch up toward this next resistance in the chart. Watch that carefully on GLW. Now Rivian, I had that alert in here. fell all apart. And that's one of the great reasons. What I teach all the time is to make the trade come to you. Stop predicting the market. Because by placing this alert up here, the fact that this reversed and went down, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not in the trade. I don't have to worry about it. And that's one really great way to manage your positions. Make those trades come to you. Avoid that predicting the market. Just follow the price action in here. Take a look at PayPal. PayPal had a good little pushback up here yesterday. We had started to fade, and I was beginning to get a little bit worried that this might fall apart. But you can see if that can hold in this area and we can get that bullish move, PayPal may still push on through to the upside here in the chart. Worth paying attention to. TWLO is another one that popped the alert in here, trying to show that bullishness in here. I'd keep an eye on Twillo, that possibility that that could push on higher. And you know, guys, these charts, they're a dime a dozen right now. They're everywhere, these kind of charts. Take a look at American Express. Now, American Express, a little bit of concern in here because we did break trend. We did break some support in here. And now we're coming back up and we're trying to get that higher low going. Let's see if that could pop on through right there on American Express. Worth paying attention to anyway. Same thing here with Texas Instruments. We did fade, broke the trend, broke support in here, but you'll notice we've come right back up and we're trying to hold in here. If we can get some bullish action going in there, Texas Instruments might be one to watch. Gotta tell you, WDC just keeps on cranking here. It is trying to break through this big area of resistance in the chart. As you can see from my alert in here, just slow, gradual move to the upside. We did lose that trend. Our trend is flattened out. If those bulls can get going in here, a little bit of a bullish activity in the pre-market here, pushing on through. Look for WDC to possibly move on up. You can take Seagate in the same kind of thing, just continuing to stretch and stretch this nice little resting pattern in here, setting up that next opportunity that Seagate can push right on through to the upside. Watch that carefully. Looking good in that chart. Take a look at stocks like TEVA. TEVA, this has been pretty volatile in here, bouncing around, trying to get going here early away from its trend. Came right back in here, now showing some bullish activity again. If we can get some buyers coming in here, might look for that opportunity to the upside there. Biogen, also showing a very, very bullish pattern coming up out of this bottom, back up through its 50-day in the round bottom breakout pattern, and also a very bullish upside pattern here. Watch for that stretch. We might be able to move clear up in here to this next area of resistance up here in Biogen, showing quite a bit of strength overall. You know, you got to keep an eye on some of these defensive sector stocks. They're still doing pretty well as well. Take a look at Altria here. The old Mo, nice little pop up here on that higher low, resting a couple of days. Let's look and see if it can challenge this high and break out here to an all-time high in Altria, kind of like Philip Morris has done. Philip Morris pressing right on through the all-time highs, resting back just a little bit, and then continuing that extension to the upside. And right now, there's nothing in that chart that says that that can't continue on. So watch that carefully here if we get more bullish push in that chart. So there's a lot of stocks to look at. There's a lot of things moving around here in the market, but I think I'll end it here this morning. If you guys find anything in these charts to take action on, make sure you do your own due diligence and be careful in this market. Again, I do think there's a possibility for big point moves yet here in the market, so be prepared. With that, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results, and as always, wishing you all the very best. Take care, everyone. I'll see you bright and early Wednesday morning.